Hello everyone, today's lesson is using relative pronouns. Please open Writing Coach page 11. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify, understand and use relative pronouns. Before we start the lesson, I would like you to complete the first two columns of the KWL chart. The first one, you write what you already know about relative pronouns. Then you write what you want to know about this lesson about relative pronouns, and this one you leave it until the end of the lesson, and then you write what you've learned in this lesson and whether your questions have been answered. So a relative pronoun begins a subordinate clause, also we call it dependent clause, and connects it to another idea in the same sentence. The five relative pronouns are, so we have that, which, who, whom, and whose. It's worth mentioning that the function of each of those relative pronouns differs from one relative pronoun to the other. For example, for that, we use it to refer to people, things, and animals. Then we have which, we use it to refer to animals and objects in general. Then we have who to refer to people only, and especially if the pronoun is used as a subject. And then we have whom, which refers to people also, but here it is used as the object of the verb. And finally, we have whose that refers to possessions. So you should be aware of the meaning of each one of those relative pronouns. So show that you can use and understand the function of relative pronouns by completing the following exercises. All right, so the first practice, identify relative pronouns. We have to read the sentences, then underline the subordinate clause, also known as dependent clause. And we have to circle the relative pronouns. For example, the player who threw that football has a great arm. So who is the relative pronoun? As we learned before, there are five, so who is one of them. So it should be easy for you to spot. We circle it, then we underline starting from who until football before the main verb of the independent sentence. And here we have the main verb, that is has. Through that football, all of this is a subordinate clause. We use it only to add information to the sentence because the player has a great arm is independent sentence. Okay, it has got a complete thought and it is meaningful. But who threw that football, it doesn't have a complete thought. That's why it is only a subordinate clause. All right, the rain that so here we know how the relative pronoun looks like. So we circle it, that fell last night, then we have was. So since we find the main verb, we stop there. So what is before is the subordinate clause. That fell last night. This is to add more information. Number two, scientists whose goal was to map the DNA of our species have. So this is actually a good technique, have made. Whenever you find the main verb of the sentence, then you stop there. Before the main verb, you find the subordinate clause in those sentences that we have here. So, of course, Whose is the beginning of the subordinate clause because it is the relative pronoun, and we underline it until species, that is directly before the main verb, that is have made great strides. Number 3, Arthur St. Clair, who lived in Pennsylvania, was, so here the main verb, so from who until Pennsylvania is the subordinate clause, and who is the relative pronoun. So basically here you are doing two things. First, you spot the relative pronoun, and once you do that, it's clear from you where it starts, where the subordinate clause starts. Then you underline it until you find the main verb and you stop. And that is the subordinate clause. Number 4, my family, whom, which is the relative pronoun, I get along with fairly well, can be. So here is the main verb. So whom until well. Number 5, my computer, which can be very slow, seems the main verb. So here we have can be, we have seems. So which can be very slow. By the way, I'm just showing you here the verb. It doesn't mean you have to underline them. I'm just giving you like a technique so that you can use to find where to stop with the subordinate clause. Also, it's just from a semantic perspective, just try to understand the sentence, to comprehend it. Where you find additional information, you underline it. If it is no longer additional information, you stop there, because subordinate clause serves to add information only. Number 6, humans cannot see wavelengths of light. That, so here we have a different case. Here we have the complete sentence. Humans cannot see, this is like see the main verb. Okay, so we have it before now. And we have a complete sentence. Humans cannot see wavelengths of light. This is a complete sentence. Then there is the added information using the relative pronoun that are in the ultraviolet range. So from that to range is the subordinate clause, and the relative pronoun is that. Number 7, people who have diabetes often have, so people, who have diabetes, so I'm adding information. People often have a nerve damage. People who have diabetes often have a nerve damage. All right, so I will leave from number 8 to 10 as homework for you. Try first to find the relative pronoun, and there are only 5. You can use a piece of paper, write them down in front of you so that you can remember them. Then once you find them, circle them, and starting from the relative pronoun, this is the subordinate clause until the main verb, or in another case like number 6, it came in the end. So just try to find the relative pronoun, and then you find the rest. You find the subordinate clause. Okay. So the second exercise, writing relative pronouns. We have to read this each sentence, then fill in the blank with the appropriate pronoun. All right, now we have to use pronouns that we studied. 5 pronouns. We have to use them to complete the sentence. So example, we finally found a doctor we trust. We finally found a doctor whom we trust. We have to use whom because first it refers to a person. Second, it is used as an object, not a subject, to use who. Number 1, Frank Lloyd Wright was a famous architect. So who was a famous architect? Here we have to use who because it is used as a subject. Secondly, refers to a person. Number 2, if we had skipped the movie, which I advised, So which refers to things in general. So we have in this case to use which. Let me see. Yes, which I advised we wouldn't have been late. Number 3, the organization Clara Barton founded. So that the organization that Clara Barton founded was the American Red Cross. And as you know, that we use it for both people and things, or things. In this case, thing. Oh, so number 4. Sorry for this. Okay, number 4. My sister eyes are blue. So here I would like to show possession. So I have to use whose. My sister whose eyes are blue, which means the eyes of my sister are blue. So in this case we use whose. Always wears blue clothes. Texas is one of the largest states in area. Which is one of the largest states in area, is also one of the most populous states. Number 6, Juan Baez I once saw in concert. So here we have to use whom because it is used as an object of the verb. Juan Baez, whom I once saw in concert, has been a protest singer for decades. Number 7, the insects damaged the tree are called emerald ash borers. That the insects that damages, okay, because that refers to both again people or things. In this case, things. Okay, I will leave from number 8 to 10 for you as homework. Try to do it. And as usual, if you've got any issues, any questions, do not hesitate to ask me. I hope you've learned something today. Make sure you go back to the in the KWL chart to go to the L section and to complete it with what you've learned and see whether your questions have been answered. Otherwise, address them to me, please. Take good care of yourselves and see you next time, inshallah. Goodbye.